Have you ever wondered who really sits at the center of global power? And what happens when you start connecting the same names, institutions, and symbols across decades? In this video, we're examining a map of interlocking conspiracy within a core group of satanic pedophile elites who sit at the top of global power. This map that we will be examining is part of the Deep State Mapping Project by a talented mapmaker named Dylan Monroe. Of course, you will find the links to the map and reference materials in the description of this video. So this map examines the Satanic Pedophile Control Network, which connects intelligence agencies, secret societies, media, and elite families. My name is Spirit, and I'm the ExPharmacist. It's my mission to help people transition through the awakening of what our world has become, with the grace and the anticipation of the impending transition into the Golden Age. Before we go any further, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe, and share it, because the more people who see this evaluation, the harder it becomes to ignore. We talk about the medical matrix. We talk about the communications matrix. We talk about the financial matrix. We talk about all of that, right? So nobody talks about the pedophile satanic matrix, because that's what it is, guys. This isn't one-off of one or two people that are involved in this kind of stuff. This is a huge control network, another control network. As you can see, this particular one is called How the World Really Works. And I went through and I have researched or put all of these connections together, because as you can see here, it's like any flow chart that you see. Each of these things, many of them you may know, and many of them you may not. Okay, so we're going to go through this, and I'm going to show you the connections and show you the structure that is just like the medical structure. There's so much going on. It's not isolated people. It's not a few perverts in this world. It's just one other control mechanism that is not only part, it holds up our world. So talks about the pedophile elite families, the Rothschilds, the Vanderbilts, the occult secret societies like the Illuminati. These are the top of the rung, so to speak, the generational controllers. And then there's the, also at this top, you can see they're connected to these, they're kind of like in a bigger bubble, into the red Freemasons, Skull Bones, Bohemian Grove, AHEPA, and so forth. Before I do that, I wanted to bring this out to the full thing and give you a general overall of this. What you'll notice throughout this is these blue ones are all government agencies that control all of these various parts of this map. Some of them control Hollywood, the media, local is controlled by local law enforcement as well. And it also by the CIA. You can see that line that's going back behind him. So that's what these blue ones are. These are all government agencies, and with the sub matrix, we might say, that they each control. And that's what we're going to go through, so that hopefully you can identify some of these things as you begin to see them. So these groups are represented here on this map as forming a continuous bloodline and a ritual tradition. These traditions that they practice that actually protect them and protect the pedophilia and the child sacrifice as a bonding mechanism for the people that they're trying to blackmail. All of these various events and gatherings that we hear about create a perceived brotherhood that they go to. During those gatherings, that's where they're compromised. That's where evidence is set up to use them at a later time, all of these parties and stuff. So this chart calls out the American pedophile elites as well. Look who that might be. The American Satanic Pedophile Elites. And so they got the photo of Hillary, they got the photo of Bill there, right? Oh, and also let's not forget Anthony Podesta, because he was critical in exposing so much of this. He tied it into the satanic angle through the WikiLeaks emails, if you remember. Him and his Abramovich connection and their spirit washing parties. So anyway, so the chart states that these, if you read here, I'm going to show you this here because I know it's not real clear, but it's so many of these, don't worry about that. I'll read it to you. Okay, so what this says is that these American elite pedos, they want to replace the current royal families as the new rulers of the world, including plans to control the world with socialism. Sound familiar? And corrupt government programs. And this is years ago this was written. The chart states that these elites are trying to climb the different secret societies to gain favor by supplying them with children to have sex with. Specifically, this node of the chart here calls out the DNC and the leaked emails with Podesta, suggesting that all of these people are heavily involved in pedophilia. There's also, which it didn't put here, I don't quite know why, but there's also, of course, a lot of evidence to this on Weiner's laptop and also Hunter Biden laptop, I'm sure. I know there is some. I don't know how much on Hunter's, but I know there is some. Also notes that an unusually high number of deaths of those around them are often ruled as a suicide or an accident. And of course, I threw in here Seth Rich. Remember that one? Also noted is that Bill is a member, that's up here, of the Order of Demolay, which has a history of child molestation and witness intimidation. The order is named after the Templar Grand Master, the same Templars who worship Baphomet. All right, so if you move to the cocaine bubble there, you'll see how the Clintons became so influential. And this is what this reads. It's believed that with the help of the Clintons in the Arkansas government, the CIA was flying cocaine into the state. A lot of mysterious deaths happened around the issue, and the state coroner kept ruling them as suicides, or state officials declined to investigate them. So we all know about the number count, but it all started with cocaine running into Arkansas. Then if you go up here to Soros, we have an astonishing allegation on this map stating that it's believed that only pedophiles are put in positions of power. Imagine that, guys. Imagine that, because that makes them easy to control. Sounds like a plan to me. I don't know about you, but if I were these evil demons, it would sound like a plan to me. Soros is noted as a billionaire donor in this thing to the Clinton Foundation, which we all know, and that he has visited Haiti with the Clintons. Below the map of the islands here, you can see, and there's a note here that Epstein Island isn't too far from Haiti. There's Haiti, there's Epstein Island. Can you see that, guys? All right. So the next thing we've got on here, that was George Soros. And then that leads to the Haiti node. There's a Haiti node right here. It's that it appears that the Clinton Foundation, while acting like they were trying to help the Haitian children, supplied them to Comet Pizza and surrounding businesses. That's Comet Ping Pong, you see right there. And that a journalist, now the key is, guys, most of us know a lot of this already, but it puts the pieces of the puzzle in the right order, if that makes any sense. In that Haiti node, there was a journalist that was investigating this in Haiti, and she mysteriously died. Her name was Monica Peterson, and she was a researcher who was previously affiliated with the University of Denver's Human Trafficking Center. She died in Haiti on November 16, when Donald Trump was elected president. Then we move over here to Freemasonry. Basically, Freemasonry infiltrates police departments so that elite crimes can be covered up at the street level. I'm gonna go a little further into that, and I'll show you these other things with that. The Skull and Bones, you've heard of them, and Bohemian Grove right next to it. They function as recruitment and networking nodes that bind political dynasties like the Bushes into the same occult network. Now imagine this. You're an up-and-coming tech mogul or whatever, somebody that they could really use, maybe a politician. And you're invited to go to this thing. It's a vacation. No business is going to occur there, at least not in public. It's a party, it's a camp, it's a big party. And that's how, and the same here, it's a brotherhood with the skull and bones. And that's how they find recruits into this satanic matrix. These societies are presented not as fraternal clubs or historical curiosities, but the dynamic infrastructure of a pedophile aristocracy that has operated for centuries. Now, one note on that, you don't have to be part of the elite or the aristocracy to be a pervert, okay? We see that every day. But it trickles down, guys. It becomes normal. But the controllers, they love that. But it's the controllers. They got themselves covered. The various intelligence agencies are cast as the operational arms. And we showed you those, the blues, right? All the different blue ones. The CIA, that appears as a central hub, and it's long served two distinct purposes. First, foreign covert action. This is exactly what happened with Operation Crossfire Hurricane. That's where the CIA coordinated with the FBI and the DNC to manufacture false intel to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. So that's one of their purposes, foreign covert actions. That's just an example. There's many types. The second one is they act as a domestic protection of elite sexual networks. Now, I've talked to you before about Water Island and how Water Island was owned by the government. I believe it was the CIA. It was one of the intelligence networks. Still owns a good portion of Water Island, which is very close, has the submarine. We talked about all that, the submarine base that Ghislaine is licensed to drive and all that stuff. We talked about that last week. There's also the Nazi node. And by the way, you can download these maps for your own exploration, or if you want to make memes or whatever, you can download these for free. You just can't commercialize them. And you can also purchase them. So that link will be in this, and it will be in all of the videos that we do covering Dylan Monroe's maps. The next one is the Nazi node, right? Heavily recruited to the CIA after World War II. The Nazis had an interest in the occult and Satanism. So the Nazis were heavily recruited by NASA also as Freemasons. They seem to have strong ties to the Denver airport, which connects by underground tunnels to military bases. Many believe they are waiting for the right time to take over America. And we're seeing that, but I personally, my take on this is it's all been stopped and it's all been halted, and that we're seeing the movie right now play out. So what you're seeing playing out about these Nazis trying to take over and all this stuff, and we haven't really gone Nazi, we've gone socialism, which is a different thing. Communism is a different thing than Nazism. So maybe we'll see the Nazis, but we have seen some of these groups. The connections to the Nazis after World War II are meant to show the continuity of personnel and methods that they used within the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Operation or Organization, one of those, National Reconnaissance, the NSA, National Security. I've done this one before on Operation Paperclip, and I can link that in the description for you if you haven't seen that. This node right here particularly relates to Operation Paperclip, where many of the Nazi scientists were embedded in top-level positions in the United States government after the war. These war criminals were not punished, but instead they were simply relocated and given even more power when they were embedded into our government, to the government of the most powerful country in the world. So the Nazis didn't lose, guys. They continued, only undercover. Within Operation Paperclip, the CIA and other agencies absorbed both technical expertise and a culture of secrecy that the Nazis taught us that later enabled programs involving mind control, drug trafficking, and the shielding of pedophile rings. So I think it's really important to understand that all of these things that you think are isolated things, drug trafficking, oh yeah, it's no, they all go back to the same place, guys. They all go back to the same place. And that's really an important thing, that once we get to that top, everything collapses. So what we're doing is we're collapsing all this stuff now beneath them and trying to get their protection dissolved or under control so we can get to them. NSA's purpose was mass surveillance. DOD was military logistics, and directed energy weapons were overseen. And you're going to see how they have been used as well. DHS, that's Homeland Security, that's involved with the local police. What they do is they share their database with the police in return for the police watching, stalking, and intimidation tactics on people that are targets of Homeland Security. Basically, what can happen is Homeland Security can put you on the TSA list. You can be called into this X-ray machine, which is, like we talked about the other day, an almost perfect image of your body. And this is part of a humiliation and intimidation tactic. And it's all done in the name of national security. Then there is the National Reconnaissance Organization that I told you about. They are space-based, omnipresent monitoring by this NRO. We don't hear much about them at all, do we? But this is another intelligence community within the Department of Defense. Specifically, the NRO surveils us via a network of satellites and shares this information on us with federal agencies. So that's what we were talking about. That on the other one, if you remember on the last chart that we talked about, Musk was on the good side. Okay. So it seems to me that they had all these satellites up there already that they were using against us, and we're replacing those satellites. Those satellites by Musk going up all of a sudden after Trump took over, they weren't just a mistake, guys. It seems like basically they're trying to replace those networks. All right. Now it talks about the 5 eyes. A lot of you have heard about the 5 eyes, and that's in the chart to demonstrate that the system is transnational. Be clear about this, guys. This is not the United States. This is not our problem. It's a transnational problem. Once the elite's sexual crimes became too large to hide through ordinary means, the intelligence community became the perfect and permanent cover apparatus, using secret classifications, black budgets, and technical superiority to keep the public in the dark. And that's where the 5 eyes. To expand, the 5 eyes, also abbreviated FVEY, is a long-standing intelligence sharing alliance. So they're sharing information about all of us between 5 English-speaking countries. And you might be able to read them here: the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US. Okay, so they're the ones that have been sharing intelligence. The alliance focuses heavily on something called signals intelligence, and that's known as SIG-INT, which involves intercepting and analyzing electronic communications, and it involves cooperation among agencies such as the NSA, which we talked about, the UK's GCHQ, Canada's CSE, and Australia's ASD, and New Zealand's GCSB. So it's kind of like one big task force of spooks. Member countries share large volumes of intelligence and generally treat each other's citizens with fewer restrictions than they apply to outsiders. Again, it's under security. If you come into the United States from New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and it's true, Britain, you are given less scrutiny and you're able to come in than somebody that comes in from Biafra, if that even exists anymore. I don't know what exists, or South American countries or whatever. So got it, guys? This isn't isolated things. They're all interconnected. Another part of the control structure is Hollywood. Hooray, hooray. Remember that? Okay, well, the chart states that the CIA was found to regularly change, and actually write Hollywood scripts. I also did a video on this, and I will link that. The video that I did on that, I did with the help of Dan Willis, and it was really an enlightening thing. I didn't know how much control the intelligence, the government intelligence, the control network had over Hollywood. And it's both sides, guys. There's good disclosure going through Hollywood right now, and there's bad disclosure going through Hollywood. But they've used it for a long time, along with the mainstream media. Where's that? Can't forget those guys. Along with the mainstream media, to basically brainwash us. So we're going to look at these two nodes a little bit more now. First, Hollywood. So the chart states that the CIA was found to regularly change and actually write Hollywood scripts. And like I said, I covered it extensively, and I'll link that with the work I did with Dan. The chart continues that many believe that they aren't just changing the scripts to make themselves look good, but they do a new version of MK Ultra to the masses. So they're writing the scripts, which are very often a type of MK Ultra that's being used on us. The CIA used its pedophile program to blackmail the Hollywood elites. Now, we know that. We've seen it with Epstein, okay? So Hollywood, Epstein, all of the Playboy Playmates and all that, they're all there, the models. Many celebrities claim that they black out to later be shown pictures of themselves having sex with children. And I've heard this before. I've heard where they use doubles or substitutes, and you'll be partying with what you think is a beautiful young 23-year-old girl, and she is. She's an adult, okay? And then they drug you, they remove her, they bring in a child, and they start making you have sex with the child, and you're so drugged up, you don't even know it. And then also, a lot of people believe that they're behind these weird YouTube videos to the kids that are going on. We've talked about this before, that many YouTube and podcasters, truthers, are similarly controlled by the dark ones. So they brainwash the children, they brainwash and control, they find the control nodes, just like alternative media has now become a target because they have to. It only makes sense, guys, right? And I see it every day. They are collapsing the legacy media. Nobody trusts them, although I am truly surprised at how many views CNN is still getting. And he said, what is that? Are this many people that screwed up that they're still believing these lies and they're that brainwashed that they can't pull away from that and at least look at alternatives? I don't know, but it's kind of scary. But anyway, so now instead of having that, we have podcasters that serve to replace that, and they are under the control of the elite pedophile network. These pedophile programs that are used to blackmail Hollywood celebrities, they black out, and this has been reported by a lot of celebs that they black out or apparently drugged. A prime example of that is Justin Bieber, that they wake up and they're committing terrible crimes. Or definitely, I haven't seen anything of Bieber committing any crimes yet, but it's certainly humiliating what came out about that boy and what they did to him. Whether it's, well, he was a child, so it was illegal, but it wasn't illegal on Justin's part. That's the key. Other celebrities appear to be famous because they were part of these secret societies that have sex with children. Several well-known entertainers, I'm going to name names, have documented memberships in the Freemasonry. John Wayne was a Freemason. He was initiated in 1970 at Marion McDaniel Lodge, number 56 in Tucson, Arizona. He later received the 33rd degree in the Scottish Rite. And if you know anything about the Freemasons, 33rd, you can see it down here on the thing here. 33rd is when you get complete enlightenment and you know everything that's going on. If you're one of the guys with a little funny hat driving the car and stuff, you don't have a clue what's going on at different levels of this organization. Another one is Clark Gable. Clark Gable was a Freemason. He belonged to the Beverly Hills Lodge number 528 in California. And he was raised to Master Mason in the 1930s. So he was way up there Clark Gable. Richard Pryor was a Freemason. He joined the Henry Brown Lodge, number 22, in Peoria, Illinois in 1981. Nick Offerman. He's an actor best known as Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation. He's publicly confirmed that he's a Freemason in interviews. Shaq O'Neal. Lots of people have talked about Shaq going down. If you're watching this Diddy thing, all the whistleblowers and stuff, they talk about Shaq going down. He joined as a Prince Hall Freemason around 2011. He has spoken positively about the fraternity's charitable and community aspects. Michael Richards, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite. That's Kramer on Seinfeld, guys. John Elway, NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, member of the South Denver Lodge in Colorado, number 93. Steve Wozniak, Apple co-founder. What a shock, huh? Joined Charity Lodge number 362 in California in 1980. Jesse Jackson, now this doesn't surprise anybody, made a Mason in the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Illinois in 1987. Listen to this one, guys. When they say everybody has info, all of these perverts are in our government, I want you to remember that when you hear these names, okay? Buzz Aldrin, longtime Freemason, Clear Lake Lodge, Montclair Lodge. He carried a Masonic flag to the moon. So that's scary, guys. And I do believe we were there. I do believe. I believe that all of the equipment falling down and all of that stuff was part of a CIA operation to then distract us from what we're seeing come out now. Other Hollywood classic figures with documented Masonic memberships include Ernest Borgnine, remember him? Douglas Fairbanks Sr., and Mel Blanc, who was the voice of Bugs Bunny and many other cartoon characters. So Bugs Bunny was a Freemason, guys. All right, now, others have connections to secret societies, and we talked about the Skull and Bones here, right? All right, and that's restricted only to Yale University students. This is a highly exclusive undergraduate senior society. Membership is limited to roughly 15 students per year, and public information drops off sharply after the early 1980s because the society stopped publishing their annual rosters. So we don't really know anymore who's in the Skull and Bones. Why would you do that with government funded? Why would you do that? Anyway, its famous members tend to be politicians and business leaders. All right, so you got that. The Masons have a lot of Hollywood. The Skull and Bones have the politicians. So there are people like the Bush family. Both Bush presidents were in the Skull and Bones. And John Kerry, who was also a presidential nominee, senator, and secretary of state. Okay, then we've got Bohemian Grove. I went over a little bit about that, but I'll do it again because I want to give you the people that show up at this. Now, remember, Bohemian Grove attendance does not necessarily mean you took the bait, okay? It doesn't mean you became one of these satanic pedophiles. You have to decide from other observations on your own. You got to think. Just because you went to Bohemian Grove doesn't mean you flipped. So that is a private all-male retreat that was organized by the Bohemian Club of San Francisco. It's not a traditional secret society with degrees like the Freemasons or the Skull and Bones. These are the mini societies. This is what they call more of a mini society. It's an exclusive summer camp for networking, performances, and rituals, most famously the cremation of care, which most of you have heard of. If most people saw how these respected world leaders, because I've seen some of the underground videos of it, I mean, they act like children. You'd be shocked if you saw what goes on in Bohemian Grove. They're wearing robes and doing chants and, sick chants and alleged sacrifices and these skits that are, some are disgusting, some aren't. The club itself does not publish its membership or guest list. But in early 2026, an independent journalist named David Boguslaw, and there'll be links to this one also for you, so you can go through, because he's got 2,200 names of people that have attended Bohemian Grove in 2023. All right, so we've got this list, and at least one club source reportedly confirmed this as generally being accurate as a camp roster through the Bohemian Club itself. but the club does not publicly officially acknowledge any such list. The names that appear on this, the notable names of this 2023. In entertainment and media, there's Conan O'Brien. What a shock, huh? Jim Belushi, Ken Burns, and Jimmy Buffett. Now you decide who they ensnared. Remember, this is the recruitment part of the satanic matrix. Satanic pedo. Basically, satanic pedo is not separated because they're one and the same guys. So you can decide. Conan O'Brien, Jim Belushi, Ken Burns, Jimmy Buffett. Don't know. Politics, government, and business. Michael Bloomberg, Paul Pelosi, Charles Koch, Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, James A. Baker III, Edwin Meese III, Henry Kissinger, and various other current or formal officials, judges, and executives. I'd love to go through that and find the judges that are in that list. And if we can do this, guys, you can bet that Kash Patel is doing it right now. The entire list of 2023 attendees is included in the description, like I said. These programs seem to be about giving the CIA blackmail material, all of these different ones on you, and then helping you become famous in all of these different ones, not just Bohemian Grove, but in all of the different ones that we've talked about. Skull and Bones, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, etc. People who try to expose this end up dying unusual deaths, like, and they've got that on here also, Isaac Cappy. Those of you that know Isaac know he was an actor. He was a B actor, maybe even C, I don't know. But he could never become an A because he was exposing them. And he is one of many people that have tried to expose him. Think of Michael Jackson. Cappy actually suicided himself. And he, right after he had, I wonder, I should probably, if you haven't seen it, maybe I should give you Cappy's last video, because his last video was him going on saying, I'm not suicidal. And then he showed up dead. So I will link that one for you. There'll be a trove of research for you guys. I mean, do you guys enjoy this? Let me know in there and I'll read through it later. And also this Hayden Panettiere, she was blabbing too. So, and complaining and calling out people. So this missive continues, saying that Hollywood is pushing towards the sexualization of people, especially children, throughout here. Okay. And from what we know, guys, let's admit it, I have to be very careful in what I accuse anybody of, but we have our own eyes that we can see as well. So it's important to understand, though, that this chart, again, I'm going to reiterate, was put together around 2022. And the sexualization of children, so even though they talked about all of this here, the sexualization, that's why you're not seeing the school matrix on here, because the school was part of it. What they started doing is they started sexualizing our children in schools, rapidly expanding the trans and DEI agenda, telling kids how cool it is to be trans and gay, and encouraging them to transition in school under complete protection from their parents ever finding out. And indeed, giving them the outlet to transition and express an opposite sex in school and then go home and be a completely different child. I mean, how evil is that, guys? How evil to indoctrinate someone's child and tell the children, control the child's mind at that young age. You're not just controlling the adults' minds anymore. You're controlling the children's minds at that very tender age that is so impressionable. So what I'm saying is, so this map here would have included the brainwashing of children and the school system if it had been done after 2022, I believe. So let's continue in this note of the Hollywood chart, which says it's believed that NSA secret societies are one and the same. So they give hacked images, audio, videos in Hollywood to make secret taunts in commercials. So this is freaking crazy, guys. The NSA, just like they create the movie script to put out to brainwash you, they also put little inserts for commercials and stuff to brainwash you. And now again, this is a little older, but the last one that we did addressed the the traders and the online experts and truthers. So it's very likely, guys, that they also get content from the NSA through one channel or another. Maybe it's their source, their connection, who knows? But it gets to them one way or the other. And they can have hacked images. Although they're getting real good now with the AI, it's not so important to hack images anymore because you can make them. You can make it anything you want and people believe it. Now, we didn't talk about gang stalking. And I think this is an important concept to understand. Gang stalking refers to a form of harassment where an individual is targeted by a group of people who engage in coordinated efforts to intimidate or control the victim. It's often using psychological tactics. This phenomenon is often associated with claims of spiritual warfare and negative energy directed at the individual. This graphic elaborates here that stalking by a group of people in such a way that the victim is aware of it. Mind you, this isn't surreptitiously stalking you. This is stalking you to your face, okay? And it has a purpose. It's meant to cause mental distress to the point of suicide, which is a clean kill for psychopaths. Nobody gets in trouble, you suicided yourself because you were gang stalked. So that is less manipulated unalivings that have to be done, okay? It didn't work with Donald Trump. And if anyone has ever watched his social media accounts and that of Il Donaldo Trumpo, which he has admitted to being behind, it's easy to see that POTUS has turned it around and is gang stalking the various people like James Comey, Ilhan Omar, Chuck Schumer, and many more. So the chart infers that the CIA influence operations and the elite blackmail turned the entertainment industry into both a recruiting ground for vulnerable talent and a propaganda machine. Twofold, has two purposes: that normalizes or distracts from the pedophilia, which is obscured by the glitz, the opulence, and the American dream of prosperity that everyone craves. Specific references in the chart to child actors, the coded symbolism, and the suppression of whistleblowers are intended to illustrate that our very culture itself has been weaponized. With the aid of the media, stories that could expose the network are blocked, while narratives that reinforce the elite legitimacy or desensitize the audiences are amplified. The media's role in this view is to keep the public emotionally and cognitively unable to recognize the pattern of elite abuse. And it did one heck of a job, didn't it? Okay, so the next one is the media. So this, the chart depicts the CIA that we just had and the DOD having strong influence over the media. Anderson Cooper, for example, is allegedly an ex-CIA agent and a Vanderbilt. Most know he's a Vanderbilt. The way this works is that many journalists get paid if they push a certain narrative. The TV media channels were extremely protective over Comet Pizza, if you remember. We were shut down everywhere if you mention that name. Anderson Cooper was the face of CNN for many, many years. He has no education in journalism at all. And he lost this position to be replaced by Don Lemon, who's also now been removed. So I see them bringing down these people. Now, of course, once one's talking head is removed, they can put another one in. Of course they can. But we're exposing them. Boom, boom, boom. They're all being exposed one right after another. So there's many of them to fill these positions. It's the media moguls themselves who must either be incentivized in another direction for this to be, or the corporation has to be dissolved, which is basically the same sign. Either we have to stop paying and buying their sponsor stuff, we have to stop watching them, or the government, FCC, whoever it is, has to start, maybe billionaires have to start giving them money to change their way they present media. Same thing, using the matrix against them. This picture right here is a photo over here. That is Anderson Cooper as a child with a statue showing a human being sacrificed to a god Tant. Up here, There's also one of the pool that have the artwork of the children being hung on ropes and with an empty pool. That's this picture right here. Then there's the connection of law enforcement, right? We talked about that a little bit. And the private sector, which supplies deniability and enables them to scale the control nationwide. So you got the CIA up in their little thing. You did. Now it's been disseminated. For the people that complained about putting FBI agents out in the field, they didn't know what they were talking about, guys. You must disseminate the power. You must, to prevent this from happening again. So what this did when they started recruiting police and sharing information like we talked about and using them as mini snitches and what's that word that you call them when somebody does your dirty work for you? That's what they basically are using the police for. So that made them scale nationwide. The chart makes the connection that Freemason penetration of police departments also allows street level protection of elites while simultaneously enabling the gang stalking of the dissidents. What I did is I ran some of these for you. I hope you can see them now. Here you can see Alabama. See the Freemason? Alaska. See that? See this? This is Free and Accepted Mason. This is Arkansas State Police. What a shock, huh? California Highway Patrol, Georgia State Patrol, Florida Highway Patrol, Delaware State Police, Connecticut State Police, Colorado State Police. Now, Hawaii. I don't know who this is down here, even at this. I can't quite make that one out. Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa. Now, I want to make it clear, guys, that these may be historic badges. They may no longer exist like this, or they may be special badges, they call them, where certain people get these badges. So this is not to imply that every Delaware police officer is going to be wearing this today. They may have been on the patch. I don't know. I was not historically a police officer, so I don't know. And it may be to certain officers as well in certain groups. So just understand that. All right, so let's go back to the map. States has the highest percentage and number of secret society male members than any other country. At one time, now this is an amazing figure, but apparently at one time, 42% of American males over 23 were part of a secret society of some kind. Not all the Masons, but of some kind. Second was the United Kingdom. It's entrenched these secret societies in the UK. Most secret societies in America originated with the Freemasons. So they spawned off. The Freemasons, they control the local police, like we talked about. Masonic and pedophile symbolism can be found in different police logos. I just showed you that. The number 33, of course, refers to the 33-degree Mason. You can see that here. And also there's the 33 Club in Disney World that you may or may not know about, which is a secret club there right within Disney World. What better place to put a secret society of pedophiles? You tell me. I can't think of a better place, can you? And it's in both locations. So the local police are often instructed to send journalists, researchers, and gang stalking victims, people they just don't like, targeted people, to mental wards to get rid of them. And if they can't find an excuse to arrest them, they send them to mental wards and make them look crazy if they can't find a reason to arrest them. Britney Spears, prime example there. And of course, it's changing. I want to make that clear. I don't want this to be all dark, doom and gloom. We are uncovering this, guys. We are destroying it. If the time to grieve about all this and be horrified was 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it's not now. Even 10 years ago. Before Trump got into office and walked down those stairs, guys, that's when we should have been freaking out about this. And some of us were. I've talked many times. When I went down that rabbit hole, 10 years of my life, I lost everything. I lost multi-million dollars in real estate. And Tim can vouch for this because I literally went wacko. And when you go down that rabbit hole, that's why I am thankful for the people that trust me with this instead of going to some of these piecemeal horror shows that are on the internet. You have to understand what went down. And once you understand how it all works and understand that we're collapsing it, then you decide. Personally, my choice is when I have an understanding, I choose to raise my vibration and my consciousness, because that's going to be the last step in this whole thing, I believe. So we're in the law enforcement thing here. Okay, so listen to this one. I did not know this. I did not know this. See this right here, connection? The CIA tries to have at least one officer in all local law departments to become an undercover CIA agent so they can help cover the agency's tracks and help murders to be ruled as suicides or accidents. One CIA agent in local law enforcement. Unbelievable. When traditional intelligence methods risk exposure through FOIA requests and whistleblowers, the system allegedly outsourced the harassment, the surveillance, and the electronic attacks to private contractors and ex-intelligence officers. And that's down here. To private sector, the ex-intelligence officers. This guy here, Jesus Mendoza, I looked him up. He was a lawyer and he sued one of the agencies, had an FBI agent admit a direct energy weapon was used on this man. So if you want to check a little more out about him, that's Jesus Mendoza. Midge was another targeted individual in Arizona. She was attacked in her sleep and in her car. An ophthalmologist confirmed that her eye burns were from radiation. Nizan Lopez became a TI and kicked out of college after a Jewish professor got upset. So at TI, he's a targeted individual and kicked out of college after a Jewish professor got upset over a classroom presentation that he made about 9/11 being a conspiracy. Can you believe it, guys? Edward Snowden, we know what he did. The government can easily hack your phone and computer. He exposed all of it and told us about what was going on there. It's believed that they view your internet history. Well, I think we've gone before that. I've done videos on that they have profiles on us now. But he had to exile the country is the bottom point. Then there's the gang members. The DOD and the CIA give gang members and motorcycle clubs portable dues, direct energy weapons to torture people with. They are often kept in backpacks or cars and remotely controlled through the internet using a cell phone Wi-Fi. The CIA and the DOD, in turn, help protect them from prosecution in their drug busts. Now, let me make it clear, guys. That's all over, okay? There's a new sheriff in town, and that's all over. Now we're trying to clean these people up, but they're not getting protection anymore. You see them. They're going down one by one by one. David Schurter, after trying to expose all of the satanic ritual abuse that he experienced as a child, he soon became a targeted individual himself. So anyway, you get the point, right? You get the point. Let's go. Let me try and get through this. All right, you heard about ping pong, Comet Ping Pong. This is everybody learned about all the pedophilia signs that were there, right? The boy lover, the girl lover. And then people started identifying these things on toys. Can you believe this? They were on toys, those, and we're seeing them. If you don't know what they are, you're going to see them in all kinds of logos, corporate logos. That tells us what these people are about. The key is don't support these people. If these products, if there's a product that has got this logo and they're using it in their logo, AOL was one of them. Don't support them. All right, now, Comet Ping Pong, Pizzagate, Haiti, the Finders Cult, they're all connected. And the various ritual abuse testimonies aren't isolated cases at all, guys. They're visible surface manifestations of a much deeper structure. So when you see these kids that are saying this happened to them, this isn't isolated, not isolated. It's so important to understand that. It's the same people, the same symbols, the same intelligence protection, and the same pattern of institutional cover-up. They're all common denominators in these various scandals. Then we've got the DOD is the one that is connected to many secret societies. And I'm like, what the heck is mini secret societies, right? Well, basically, the mini secret societies connect the churches and the 5G internet. I thought, gosh, that's strange. This, look at that. With these different, and I thought, well, that was an odd connection with the 5G. I get the churches, but the 5G? Well, listen to this one, guys. The mini secret societies are more informal, more low profile groups. I think I have a list of them for you. Yeah, I have a list just to give you an example of some of them. They're lower, but they operate outside of the classical structure, the hierarchical structures. Many participants in elite protection or targeting operations would never formally join one of the named lodges, right? So there's other ones there, and they still function as networked cells, even though they wouldn't join those bigger ones. On the map, they're depicted as often ideologically or occult tinged circles, sometimes linked to figures associated with military intelligence or experimental programs. The military bonding provides ritual bonding, shared secrecy, and operational cover without the paper trail of larger fraternal organizations. Are you understanding how massive this is yet, guys? I mean, this is huge. That is our world, guys. That's what controls our world. Only the satanic pedophile. That's what's controlling our world. That's how big it is, guys. The system is not limited to well-known societies. It multiplies through countless miniature, deniable associations that recruit, blackmail, or coordinate while remaining below the threshold of public scrutiny. All right, so a couple of them. There's a Temple of Set that was founded in 1975 by Michael Aquino, if you guys know who he is. That was after he split from the Church of Satan. There's the OTO, a Thelemic magical order associated with Aleister Crowley. Everybody knows who he is. Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The Finders, which we talked about, which is a small Washington, D.C. group. It's a communal group, and it appeared in 1980s investigations involving children. The Process Church of the Final Judgment is another one. The Scroll and Key is one of Yale's senior secret societies. And then there are also smaller and less famous societies, the Scroll and Key, than that. The Wolf's Head is another Yale society, which is one of those smaller ones. The Order of the Golden and Rosy Cross, pronounced Gold und Rosenkreuz, an 18th century German Rosicrucian order with alchemical and Masonic influences. The Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey. The Thule Society, it's a German occult group, and on and on and on, guys. There's so many of these smaller mini secret societies. So why were they connected here with 5G? Well, you're going to love this one, guys. You're going to love this one. 5G is a technological escalation, basically, of direct energy weapons and surveillance capabilities. The chart says that the civilian cellular infrastructure, the routers, the towers, the denser 5G network can be or already is being used as a distributed weapons platform that's capable of delivering non-lethal effects on targeted individuals. Anybody surprised by that one? I didn't think they were doing dues out of the 5G. I hadn't heard that one before. This is a departure from traditional intelligence methods of harassment and monitoring in the private arena, which empowers deniability. So they no longer have to get into that gang stalking that they do and making you go crazy. They just hit you with a do. They just hit you with a do from the 5G tower outside of your home, and they don't have to do the gang stalking anymore. It becomes much easier. I'm sure these have been dismantled, and it's probably been done from a central way in some way, but I haven't seen, well, of course, I don't live near a 5G tower. It's pretty far away. So the commercial telecom grid itself became an always-on, ubiquitous delivery system for direct energy weapons. The intent of the map is to present 5G not merely as a communications upgrade, but as the physical embodiment of a long-standing electronic controlled architecture that's now been scaled to reach the entire population. Pretty scary, isn't it? All right, the churches, we've talked about them. I did the video on Mother Teresa. You've seen all that. But the DoD is also connected to the churches via these secret societies and the NSA. See that with the NSA going right to it? So they occupy a dual role in this part of the map. On one hand, they're shown as recipients of funding, money. They get the money, right? The churches get the money. And cooperation from the intelligence and military circles, including shadow budgets, remember the black budgets, or domestic spying arrangements. The other purpose of the churches is that they present as recruitment grounds and cover institutions, places where the hierarchy, the secrecy, and the moral authority can be leveraged to silence victims. We've seen it, but remember, this is the thing, guys, I want you to hopefully understand. This is more than a few priests, isolated priests that did something, that are perverts. This is more than a politician that's a pervert. This is a structure that uses these as a way of influence. It's a protection mechanism for these people. Many religious structures are far from protecting children and victims. They're far from that, guys. In fact, they're just the opposite and may be involved in evil and elite corruption. They've been partially co-opted, or a parallel has been constructed so that they either actively participate in or at least fail to disrupt the larger system while protecting high-level abuse. Now, there's a couple QAnon logos here because it has references to the military intelligence exposing the network. These elements are incorporated to assure us that a counterforce within the military or intelligence community is finally breaking the silence and demonstrating that the system, through it, though it's vast, it's not invincible. Okay? It's not invincible, guys. And notice this, again, 2022. Are they the good guys trying to do the right thing, or do they see the shit hitting the fan soon and want to distance themselves from the corruption? Only time will tell. I think with Trump and all the moves that he's made, if you believe Trump is on the right side and you're watching the things that he's doing, if you think he's going to collapse the Fed and all of this, then I think we've made our decision here because he has pretty much now associated himself with Q. So I think we know which side Q's on. All right, then there's the FBI Anon. And this is an internal or quasi-internal whistleblowing vector. We should give it mixed skepticism, guys, and use it cautiously. The node here, this node asserts that the Bureau itself holds vast knowledge of pedophile networks and missing children cases. The 500,000 figure appears as a dramatic claim of scale. Yet the same system suppresses or misdirects that information when you own the information, guys. So that's why the FBI now being taken over by Patel was so important. He had to step out because he was the one that had all the whistleblowers in there that could tear this thing down. And it's my understanding that a lot of the FBI agents also wanted in to destroy this. They saw it, they were uncomfortable with what was happening, and they wanted no part of it. At the same time, anonymous communications attributed to FBI Anon are presented on occasional leaks that confirm the existence of Q. So the FBI would have been pursuing two opposing missions. There's two sectors, just like two governments were going on, two sectors within the FBI were going on with opposing missions. This is confirmation that white hats have been embodied right next to the dark ones, watching, collecting evidence, and usurping control. That's why, guys, nothing can stop what is happening. All right, so the CIA was the central part of this chart. It was the center of the entire control matrix with connections to the Skull and Bones, the law enforcement, the finders, the media, Hollywood, and the mafia. Now I'm going to talk about Teresa. I'm going to give you a little background about her, and you're going to see the video. This is Teresa. Oh, And remember, I don't know which one this was in. I didn't have time to look this up, but apparently Stanley Kubrick, in one of his videos, maybe Clockwork Orange would be maybe what I would think about. He said, pedophiles run the world. They've been telling us all along, guys. They've been telling us. All right, so Teresa. All right, she was about 15 then when she did this testimony. She says from around age 2, she was left in the care of her grandmother, who she calls Nan, in South London. And Nan either led or participated in a satanic cult that subjected her and other children to extreme sexual abuse, animal and human sacrifice, and forced participation in rituals. Teresa testified that as a child, she was, I'm going to let her say it, okay? She had 7 pregnancies, this poor girl. There's a documentary, The Devil Made Me Do It. It was done actually, amazingly, by 60 Minutes in the late 1980s or early 1990s this was done. Some key claims, I'll run past her key claims that she made was that there were repeated group sexual abuse, 10 to 30 adults during ceremonies, forced sexual acts with animals such as goats, donkeys, etc. And this is a child, guys. She was 15 at this time, and it started at 2. Witnessing the ritual killing, being locked in coffin-like boxes with spiders, snakes, and worms. Witnessing the ritual killing of adults and many babies, children, including newborns and aborted fetuses. Multiple pregnancies starting from 11. Forced abortions performed by doctors or her grandmother. In at least one case, she said that she was made to eat parts of her own fetus. Bodies disposed of in large chemical tubs that reduced them to sludge. Now, I'm giving you a short clip of this, and that's why I'm reading this. You may not hear all of this from her mouth. But you can go, there'll be a link, and you can go to this movie if you're so inclined. Threats against her own daughter. She has one daughter who she said she left behind when she escaped. Being kept disoriented with drugs or knockouts so that she could not locate the rural castle-like house where the worst rituals occurred. And there is medical evidence of the long-term abuse of this child. A psychiatrist statement prepared for the program says that Teresa's account does not appear to be the product of any kind of psychosis or fantasy. A therapist named Ray Wire, who also worked with many alleged satanic abuse victims and some perpetrators, say her story matches the patterns that he has heard from both victims and offenders. Police had charged several people, including the grandmother, on counts of aiding, rape, and performing abortions, plus 5 men on rape charges, and were investigating the ritual killing claims. So now I'm going to set you up with Teresa and let you listen to it from Teresa's words. The devil made me do it.
Last year on the 60 Minutes program, I told the story of a young English girl, Teresa. I said then that it was the most painful story I'd reported in 28 years. Here's part of what she told me.
Usually one of us would have to go on the star, and then we'd be raped by everyone who was there.
Did this happen to you?
Yeah, a few times.
How many men would have sex with you at any one time?
It was usually 10 to 20.
What happened to Teresa is still one of the most controversial cases in British legal history. Mother and daughter are together now, but for 12 years, Bridget had no idea what was happening to her child.
I thought she was just hurt by the breakup of the marriage of myself and her father. I explained it away with things like that, you know, that this was because she'd come from a broken home.
You see, Teresa's parents split up when she was just 2 years old and left her in the care of Nan, her grandmother. That's when her trouble started. Nan was part of a satanic cult.
And we used to be taken to a house in the country, or one house in the country, where it would happen there. And we'd have ceremonies there, and we'd kill babies and adults and animals, and we were made to have sex with the animals. We were raped by my uncles and aunts and friends of the family.
And when you say we, you and other kids?
My cousins, you know, some girls and boys.
Was Nan there? Was your grandmother there?
Most of the time.
You said that animals were killed there and people were killed there.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
To begin with, it was only animals. You know, I can remember them being brought in and cut down the middle and opened up. It was usually in the star on the table. We had a big table. When the people were brought in, it was the same sort of thing. It was just, you know, a lot worse.
As the rituals grew more violent, Teresa tried to escape, but the cult weren't about to let her go.
And we ran out of the house and we were running down the hill.
Were you trying to get away?
Yeah, we were going to run away and go somewhere nice. But they set the dogs out and we got caught by the dogs. And we were brought back. I thought I was going to die too, but I didn't. I was tied up for a few days.
Teresa, what sort of people were sacrificed at those rituals? Who were they?
One time it was a tramp, or it looked like a tramp.
A tramp?
Yeah. He was brought in and he was, you know, laughing and he didn't seem to be there, you know, or was sleepy. And they laid him on the thing and they cut him from his neck right down. And he screamed a bit. And then he, you know, it just stopped, died out. And he died and they ate his insides.
The people there ate parts of the tramp?
All of us did.
Was that... Did you understand why they ate him after they killed him?
They said it was for Lucifer. And they said it made him happy.
Was your Nan there? Was Grandma there during the sacrifices?
Usually.
What was she doing when this went on?
I was usually looking at what was happening. But if I turned around at her, she would be smiling or laughing or chanting if they were chanting.
Did Nan take part in the ceremonies?
Yeah.
According to Teresa, hundreds of babies were sacrificed by the cult. Not just other people's babies, but her own as well. By the age of 11, she'd already become a mother. How many times did you become pregnant?
7.
7 times. The babies were aborted, were they?
Yeah.
Where were the abortions carried out?
My nan's were at the house.
Who would perform the abortions?
At our house, it was my nan. And at the bigger house, it was the doctors there.
Doctors were part of those ceremonies too, were they?
Yeah.
Would anything else be done with those fetuses?
They were eaten.
I beg your pardon?
They were eaten. We were made to eat them. And everyone would have peace.
Now, Teresa and Bridget came over from United Kingdom. They're with us here in the studio tonight. Do you think that abuse that Teresa was subjected to was at the hands of Satanists?
Oh, I'm sure. And
What?
Satanists were raising her, so her only image of Satan is what they gave her.
Okay, guys, so I'm gonna take that down now. That's enough. There will be a link to the complete video. So go over there. Somebody did a lot of work putting this together, and it's a very long. It's about an hour, and you just got a few minutes of it. So go over there, check it out. Okay, guys, love you. Good weekend, good vibes. Every day in every way, things are getting better and better. Okay? Love you. Bye-bye.